Good morning, folks, and welcome to the second screencast. I'm going to do a series of screencasts all based on poetry. So this is the second one. Last week we did kennings. This week we're going to look at a different type of poetry. So I want you to have a look at what's on the screen here and consider carefully what might be suggested by these two pictures. And so I've got a mountain and a cow from Scotland. Can you puzzle it out? And when you're ready, you can go on to the next slide because that will tell you what the answer is. So on the next slide, it tells you that, of course, this week we're going to be looking at high, as in a high mountain, haikus. A haiku. Alright, a haiku. And haiku is a type of Japanese poetry. So last week we were looking at kennings from Nordic countries, from Scandinavia. This week we're going to be looking at a different type of poetry. We're looking at haikus. And hopefully by the end of this screencast you'll be able to write your own haiku. So that is today's lesson. It's a haiku, and it's a type of poetry from Japan. It's made of 3 lines, and we'll talk about those 3 lines a little later on. And they tend to suggest these based around nature and what we see around us, quite natural poetry. So it did originate in Japan, and I want you just to spend a few minutes while I've got this slide up researching Japan. So I want you to go away and find out 10 facts about Japan. So you can have a look on Google Earth, have a look on atlases you've got at home, and speak to people if they've been lucky enough to go over to Japan. Find out a little bit about Japan and find out 10 facts for me about Japan. Things that you might know or have read or have heard about Japan, and jot those down. Alright, so when you finish that you can move on, so pause the video there while you're doing that, and then we'll move on and talk about haiku. So haiku came from Japan, and it was from a specific person, a man called Master Basho, and there's a image of him there. An artist has drawn an image of him sitting under a tree, and Master Basho was a man who invented haiku. He loved nature and spent most of his life wandering through the countryside and teaching poetry in villages from different towns around Japan, and he really felt that nature was very, very important and that he wanted to express this through his poetry. So haikus based from Japan, and this is the man who invented them. So what do these words have in common? Because now we need to talk about how haikus are put together. So these are 5 different words. I'll give you a few minutes if you want to pause the screencast there. Have a look at those 5 words. I'll read them out for you. Invisibility, responsibility, memorabilia, incapacitated, theoretically. So those are 5 words, but what do they have in common? Because that will help us work out how to do a haiku. I'll give you a few minutes to have a think. You can pause the video there, puzzle it with your family. When you're ready to find out the answer, here we go. These words all have 6 syllables. Invisibility, if I count. Responsibility, 6. Memorabilia, 6. Incapacitated, 6. Theoretically, 6. So they all have 6 syllables, and 6 syllables are the important bit with haikus, because in a haiku we need to count those syllables. So you need to now know really what a syllable is. So a syllable is a part of a word. It has a beat. So Mrs. McBride will be proud of us here. We're talking beats in words, and they're really useful when you come to spelling words as well, and breaking words down to get the 3 syllables. Haiku, 2 syllables. Miss Kelly, 3 syllables. Think about your name, and that maybe first name and your surname, first name, if you've got a middle name, put that down as well. And with your family member, just have a think about how many syllables your name has got. You can clap it out, highlight the different syllables. Might be a way of doing it, splitting it up on the page. Consider the syllables in your name. When you're ready and you've practiced that a little bit with some of your family names, you can move on. Because like a haiku, these syllables are really important. A haiku only has 3 lines, which is what I mentioned at the beginning. So that Japanese man only wrote poetry that had 3 lines, so they're nice and short, but they have a very specific structure. And the first and the last line of a haiku has 5 syllables, and the middle line has 7 syllables. So knowing about those syllables and using those helps you write your haiku. It's vital. To help you remember this, I've got a little haiku here that helps you remember. I am first with 5. So that line has 5 syllables in it. I am first with 5. It's got 5 syllables. You can clap it out and check. Then 7 in the middle. It's got 7 syllables. 7 beats. So not 7 words. Be careful not to get confused. It's 7 beats. Then 7 in the middle. And the last line has 5 syllables. 5 again to end. So just be careful that you're counting syllables, not words, for haikus. Okay? So have a look with your family. And here are some haikus. Let me just need to extend it there a little bit. Okay, so now you can see it a bit clearer. Can you solve these haikus? Check that they've got that 5-7-5 pattern. They're all 3 lines. And they're all puzzles like the Kennings were last week. And types of riddle, but from Japan. So there's 5 different haikus there. Have a go at working out what those 5 different haikus are. They have got the 5-7-5 syllables. Okay. That slide there just reminds you it's 5-7-5. So once you've done all that, you've got your research on Japan, you've puzzled out those, you've had a go at syllabling your name. What I want you to do next is have a go with this. Now this is all about making your own haiku. So what I did is I chose a topic. It was a topic, based in nature, so I went for summer, although it's not very summery at the moment. It is pelting it down with rain. And came up with, just brainstormed lots of words, lots of adjectives, verbs, nouns to do with the summer. Alright, wrote those down, so you can do the same. And once you've done that, I then thought about how I could actually fit those into a haiku. So I just wrote 3 lines. Holidays are coming, we can go to the beach, hot sand and cool sea. Okay, so, but then I thought, well, wait a minute, a haiku has to have 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. So holidays are coming doesn't work. Holidays are, so I've got 4. Alright, so I need a word that's just got 1 syllable. So holidays are here. Okay, so that's got 5 syllables in that line. The next one, we can go to the beach, didn't work, it didn't have 7 syllables, so I needed to add a syllable. So we can go to the seaside, now it's got 7. And then the last line, hot sand is next to the cool sea, too many syllables, I only need 5, so I changed it, hot sand and cool sea. Now, I used really basic ideas there, and once you get the hang of doing haikus, you can improve your haiku by using synonyms, and perhaps even use thesaurus.com, which is a great way to find other words with a similar meaning, so synonyms that you can find. So have a look on thesaurus.com, or if you've got a thesaurus in the house, when you're doing your brainstorming, so when you're back here doing your brainstorming for your topic, whatever that might be, think about a variety and be adventurous with your language, because it will make your haiku more interesting. So ultimately you are now going to be, what I've got here on the screen is what you need to do. So you've found out about Japan, you've learned about syllables, you've learned about haikus, you're going to create some of your own. You can use some of the pictures here that I've just got off the internet about Japan, maybe use some of the images that you found yourself when you did your Japan research, and think about maybe your garden, something you can see from your window if it's parking it down with rain and you can't get outside. Maybe when you go on your walk, you could get inspired by things that you see around you. And with that inspiration, think about what you can see, hear, touch, maybe even what you would taste with that particular type of nature, and just jot down, brainstorm it, use that thesaurus, get lots of synonyms, lots of verbs, nouns, adjectives to describe that setting, that thing, that object. And once you've brainstormed it, have a go at creating your haiku. 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. And then send them to me, to Miss Thomas. Any of your English teachers, I'm sure, will be fascinated to hear some of your haikus, and I'll be putting some great ones on Facebook for next week. So thank you very much for listening, folks. Take care, and I'll do another poetry lesson next week. Bye, folks. Bye.